Aloha, welcome. Something I've been noticing lately in my own life is that when I fixate on something in the future or something I don't have, like how incomplete my life feels, or just how agitating or just like imperfect things are. And as soon as I can just let it go and actually look around. Like right now, I'm like looking up at the ocean, which I know that that might not be possible for everyone, but I'm like, oh, like life's pretty good, but it's so easy to get caught in a loop. And so, my inspiration and my goal for class today is to guide us into the present moment where everything's pretty good. Like when we actually let go of the future and our worries, things in the present are often really delightful, and we can feel that inner source of contentment. So let's try it. I have spread out my blanket because I think I feel the most content when I can roll around on a yoga blanket. So I recommend you doing whatever helps you feel cozy and relaxed and happy. It was raining here, so I had a sweater on, but it's still Hawaii, so I don't actually need it. Today we will need 2 blocks. A strap can be helpful just for our breathing exercise, and then if you're sticking around for meditation, you might want a meditation cushion. And for now, we can just turn to the right, grab the strap, and make our way down to the ground. And take your time with the coming down to the ground. Imagine not only is the body melting, but any tensions are melting, any worries in the mind. And let yourself land. You can even sigh, that sinking into your blanket. And maybe imagine you're in one of your favorite places, in warm sand, or in the forest, in the mountains, in a cozy bookstore with a latte, whatever it might be. Just feel that little inner warmth where you can really relax and feel cozy. And then take your strap and lift the hips so you can slide the strap underneath the lowest part of the rib cage. All of you have done this with me before, so feel free to just go for it if you're getting the hang of it. But we'll cross the strap around the rib cage and then take the strap in opposite hands and make sure there's enough slack on either side that the elbows can be relaxed on the ground, and then the hands can gently fall out. And so your hands are holding the strap, and there's just a little bit of tension on the base of the rib cage. And it's not intense. It's more just like feedback. I just want you to feel the whole circumference of your rib cage. And then even though there's not a strap around the pelvis, feel the circumference of your pelvis as well. Pelvis and the rib cage mirror each other, so when one is neutral, they're both neutral. And if one tips forward or back, then the other also tips forward or back. So play with gently rocking the pelvis down towards the tailbone and then up towards the bottom vertebra, this forward and back motion, so you can feel what the circumference of the pelvis is doing and how it relates to the circumference of the rib cage. And notice that space when they become parallel. For me, I can feel my bottom rib press down into the strap a little bit, and there's not an intense core activation, but almost just like it's almost like they feel like they become one unit, like your body is a tube from your hips up to your shoulders. Does anyone else get that? I'm curious. Yes, okay, we have another tube in the house. Great. you might be something different. That's also great. And then try to hold whatever position you found that feels the most connected between ribcage and pelvis. And now start to breathe into the strap. And let it be super, super gentle. And actually start to become more interested in the exhalation. And feel how as you exhale, you can really empty out. And it almost feels like as you get empty, you land in the present moment. And it's just you and your breath. And in the yogic tradition, at your core, you're perfect. So even though it might not seem exciting or even particularly interesting, just being here and letting everything else go is perfect. And at first, in the beginning of class, it might not quite feel that way, but as the nervous system calms and we become more and more present, try to notice if you can start to feel that perfection, that almost radiance inside of yourself that doesn't need a vacation, doesn't need to worry, already has everything. And here in Hawaii, the rain has just picked up and it's nice and soft and so nourishing. And so you can imagine, not that you're getting rained on, because I don't think that'd be really pleasant, but that you are just absorbing blessings from the breath, from your highest self, from the universe, just like these gentle raindrops. You can just take that in. If you're following along with the music today, you can hit play on the first track. We'll keep the strap for our core exercise, the familiar fan favorite deep core. Exhale, starting to just unweight one foot. Notice what brightens between rib cage and pelvis, and then inhale, set that heel down. Exhale, unweight the other foot. And remember, less is more. I feel like when we really start to connect with that perfect place inside, it's easy to not overdo it. And so just notice if you can feel content with just being in the bright space, not needing the allure of a big movement, just feeling the body being supported, just even feeling the fact that you can be aware of these subtle sensations is miraculous, and it's taken time. You've built your interoception. It is a skill, a sense that you can hone in on. And whenever you feel like lifting the foot a little higher, go for it, but try to preserve that sense of gentle unweighting, and then it just continues, but there's not even much of an uptick. Good. And notice if your pelvis wants to tip laterally, so right or left, as one foot lifts, and see if you can stay in the space where the rib cage and the pelvis both stay level, and you can keep breathing into the strap three-dimensionally all the way around the rib cage. The next time the right leg lifts, pause there, take the strap out of the way, and allow the left leg to glide long. Allow the arms to reach overhead, and take a moment to re-find your neutral pelvis and rib cage. Keep the pelvis glued down to the earth. Right leg is still lifted. And we'll make some little circles with the right knee. And I find personally I can't go very far if my pelvis is staying neutral. So really try to prioritize the neutral and notice how that stability in the pelvis starts to wake up all of the connections between the hip socket and low back down into the thigh bone. So you might feel some warmth building. And circle the other way. And if your circles want to get larger, that's totally fine, but prioritize keeping the sacrum glued down. Ooh, as soon as I did that, my core activated extra, so see what's possible. Maybe there's more. That gentle suctioning front of body to back of body. And then find a neutral spot for the knee and allow the knee to start to cross the body. So you roll onto the left side. Let the right big toe support you here so that the foot's not flat, but you feel like you've got some control. And if that doesn't feel good on your foot, it's probably not a huge deal, but that helps my knee and my hip feel safe. It's kind of like when a baby is starting to crawl. Let the right arm reach overhead and gently glide the right knee wide, or as wide as is comfortable. So you roll towards the belly, but it's okay if the right side of the body is higher up than the left side of the body. And then start to drag the hands underneath the shoulders. We're going to do a gentle cobra here. So reach the left leg back, level the pelvis, and slowly start to lengthen through the spine, unweighting the head and allowing the upper spine to reach forward and long. The hands contraction back. Let's take 3 pulses here, exhaling to release and inhaling to lengthen and lift, and just make sure that right leg feels safe. Make any adjustments. You can always extend the right leg down if you don't like this action with the hip. The next time you lift, glide the left hand overhead once again. Gently start to push into the right hand. Release the head down so you're relaxed. And then slide the right knee in a little bit. We're going to start to circle the right arm, but I want you to prioritize keeping the hips where they are and just going as open as you can without the hips moving, and then go back the way you came. And do a few of these. If it's comfortable on the shoulder, the arm can reach overhead. And let your focus be wherever feels most interesting to you. Maybe it's the massage on the left side of the body. Maybe it's the massage in the right shoulder, gently opening, or the sensation between the right rib cage and the right hip. And then slowly let the right arm win. So as it reaches back, the hip starts to lift and stack. The knee starts to lift, and you slowly roll onto your back, but the knee's still bent. Grab the shin, curl up, and then send the right foot down and gently reach the hands alongside the body and lift the hips. If it feels okay, I like lifting the left leg here, but if that's too intense, you can take a double-legged bridge. I just like the experience of staying in that position and lifting. Letting the front of that right hip open. And then we're going to do that whole thing again. So left leg comes long, arms overhead, hover the right knee, let it slowly cross over, rolling onto the belly, allowing the right knee to open as much as is comfortable, but making sure the toe is supporting you so the knee feels safe. Drag hands back. And either take 1 cobra and hold and breathe, or take a few of those pulses if felt good. And Here, I really notice if this goes in my low back because it's so much more intense with the hip open. So really try to keep the back bend in the upper spine, low back stays stable. And then glide the left arm overhead, gently push into the right arm, relax the head down. Take a couple of little circles where you're peeling open, but the low body stays stable. And then eventually let yourself roll all the way onto the back. Grab the shin, curl up, and then release the shin, rooting the foot down for the half bridge. Reach the hands down, and then allow the pelvis to lift. You're welcome to take a couple pulses to hold, or put that left leg down at any time because it's a lot of work in the right glute. And the next time the hips come down, pull the right knee in one more time. Curl up so you're squeezing your body into the thigh. Lift the left leg and drop it, rolling you forward. And then hug both knees in and release forward. Make sure it's not just your neck dropping. For me, I have to work really hard to try to let my low spine curl. Nice adjustment, Anju. Try to feel this more in the low back and not in the neck and shoulders, not in the space between the shoulders. And then start to shift the weight from hip to hip. Place your hands behind you and give your hips a little massage as you change directions on the mat. And then if it feels good, you can keep bobbling around. And then place the soles of the feet down. We're coming onto the back. It's up to you if you just lay down or if you want to milk it a little bit and try to control one vertebra at a time. I find if I glide my heels forward, it helps counter the weight of my upper body when I'm trying to do this with control. And if it feels good, the arms can stretch overhead, and then let's just rest. Feel the body softening. And notice if you can just drop into the heart space. Maybe you can even feel the heart beating. And then let's bend the knees, soles of feet to earth, level pelvis and spine. Hands can go wherever they want for this second round. I like them behind my occiput so the chest opens, so you're welcome to try that. We'll exhale, unweight one foot or lift it if you feel ready for that right away. Because this is our second round, as we lift one leg at a time, if that feels really easy, you're welcome to lift the second leg and actually go from high to low, lowering one leg at a time. Twice as much weight on your core, so it actually makes a significant difference. Notice if you can still find that level pelvis in relationship to your rib cage, breathing into the back space of the ribs. And the next time the left knee is up and the right foot is down, glide the right heel long. Reach your arms overhead, neutral pelvis and spine, gentle little circles with the left knee, prioritizing anchoring the sacrum down into the earth and not quite flattening the spine because our spine has curves for a reason, but really lengthening through the spine and feeling how the front edge of the body can suction down towards the floor. Circle the other way. I know we have our shoulders training coming up, but boy, I was really feeling the hips as I was sequencing this class. But the shoulders training does start with a lot of deep core work. And so we're definitely doing that. We're getting ready to support our whole body in different planes. And now the knee can find its neutral spot and tick-tock over. So you roll onto the right side this time. Big toe comes to touch, which might mean reaching the foot down a little bit. Find where your hip feels safe here. You can even bounce the foot around a little bit. And then eventually roll over the side. The knee comes down and then starts to slide as wide as is comfortable without feeling like a big stretch. Drag the hands underneath the shoulders and use your breath, inhaling to lengthen through the spine, finding that neutral pelvis as you hover the head and heart away from the floor, and then melting down. And take a few on your own. Imagine yourself like a snake with so much control, basically just a myriad of muscles supporting a spine. And the next time you lift, glide the right arm long, push into the left hand, roll onto the side. And then I like to keep my left knee relaxed here so that the hip is nice and soft. Right arm can reach towards me, and then slowly circle overhead, peeling you open, but get really curious of how left hip, left rib cage stay connected. Go back the way you came and just take a few rounds of that, exploring that relationship. My left shoulder is a lot more sensitive than my right, so I actually like to keep my hand a couple feet above the earth, and that feels a lot more supported in my shoulder. So if you've got hypermobility or sensitive joints, you might want to try that. Next time the arm starts to peel open, now you can let the left knee hover, let the left shoulder come down. We'll curl knee into chest and lift the body to squeeze the thigh. Bring the right foot down, reach the hands long and push down into, wait, I did something wrong here. Oh, I know. We want to open the left hip. So keep the right foot long. Push the left foot down into the earth for the half bridge. There we go. And then let the hips open. I was like, this doesn't feel as good as it did on the first side. Release the hips down. Just one of those for the first round. And we'll begin again. So right leg long, left shin hovers, arms overhead. Tick-tock over to the belly. Take your time. I really love the moment where the left knee is slowly gliding with control. This is strengthening the adductors via eccentric contraction. So try to feel how that control stabilizes the hip and allows the left leg to interact with the right leg. Hands underneath shoulders. Pulse up into your cobra or hold and take a few breaths. It is harder to have a neutral pelvis with the knee in this position, so just think neutral and it will engage all of those muscles. Let the tailbone point towards the wall behind you and notice what wakes up in the deep core. And then glide the right arm long, roll onto the side, and we'll do our shoulder circles. Oh, good. See, there is something for the shoulders here. And then the left arm wins. Glide all the way onto the back. Squeeze the leg in. Curl up for Apanasana, or Pavanamuktasana rather. And then let the left leg go long, stretching through the left hip. Anchor the right foot. Allow the hips to lift. Hands can come down for extra support, and you're welcome to hold or pulse or put the left leg to meet the right so that you've got more support here. And because we're practicing contentment, let's all try bringing our left foot down, letting the hips come down. So you're in a bridge setup, but you're not in bridge just yet. And with as minimal effort as possible, especially after doing that strengthening version, start to reach the knees forward and wide to peel the hips off of the mat and lift one vertebra at a time, and just feel how gently you can move here, how effortless it can be. Notice the little massage you get up the spine as the hips lift. If you find a really good spot, you can sway the hips a little. I'm always crunchy between my shoulders, so I love swaying my hips and massaging those muscles. Can make some big circles with the hips, and that can help you get different angles in the space between the rib cage and the scapula. And then we'll bring the left knee into the chest one last time. Right leg goes long, curl up to meet the left leg, and then lift the right leg and drop it down to roll up. And bring both legs in to meet, lengthen through the spine, and give yourself a hug, trying to round from the bottom of the spine, keeping a nice smooth curve all the way up to the crown of the head. And breathe into that back space where we had the strap. And then just for fun, see if you can hover your feet and find a little balance point here. And if that's going well, try closing the eyes. And it's okay if that's really hard, but sometimes you can just find this place of suspension. Notice if there's any contentment in this space. And then cross left ankle over right. Bring the right hand behind you, and we'll flip to tabletop. Bring the hips to the heels. Grab your blocks and set them ahead of you. If you're following along with the music, please go to the next track. And if you would like a sip of water, now's a great time. Anytime's a great time. Love your mug, Marcella. It gets a lot of love. I want you to be positioned however is easiest to be able to see me. I'm going to go 3/4 so that you can see my side body, but I'm also looking at you. So turn anyway, it doesn't matter. And let's have the blocks at the lowest height, but of course you can always change it. We are going to be on the knees for a little while, so if you need to grab an additional blanket so that your knees aren't cranky, go for it. And then once you're set up, let's meet in tabletop with the hands on the blocks, and bring the blocks a little further back than you think. I find to have the most support in my shoulders, I actually have to have my arms back, so there's that like springiness instead of them being like pillars right underneath the shoulder. So yeah, just a couple of inches. And then walk the hands around the edges of the block, just massaging the hands a little bit. I like the corners. I have cork blocks, and so the corners feel really good, but if you have wooden blocks, that might be intense. And just start to feel into the hands. Change the angle of your hands so your fingers point in different directions, and notice how this relates up the arm and into the shoulder. And then start to find a place where your hands feel the most comfortable, and don't assume it's just like normal fingertips forward and all that. Like maybe fingertips over the edge is nice, and just take your time where you want to be, and it can always change. And then let's bring some awareness to our pelvis, and actually everyone looks awesome, I think, from the core work we already did, so way to go. We're going to find that neutral pelvis and spine, and then take the weight out of the left knee and glide the left leg straight back without anything changing in the pelvis. And do this a few times, and notice the gentle work required to do this. And then once you feel like you've got that, let the left leg lift. Pelvis is going to stay neutral, just like we've been practicing. Slowly start to bend the left knee, keeping the shin parallel to the earth, gliding the shin forward on an invisible shelf, and then sending it back. And I find for me, less is more here. I don't want to go too far forward because then it feels really bad. So be really kind to yourself and try to find the place. Maybe it's literally just like a couple inches. It is engaging gluteus medius, which is a really important muscle, and depending on how your glute med functions, this might feel really foreign. We don't want it to feel like our hip is going to get a cramp. So try to almost be like sneaky, like a ninja, like, okay, I'm not going to overdo it. The next time the knee starts to bend, step the foot outside of the blocks. Next time we do that, there's going to be a sense of momentum that's going to take you right up into this movement, but the first round we're going a little slower. So push down into the back knee and the front foot. Let the pelvis level first and notice how the spine naturally follows. Then we're just going to take the hands to the horizon and release them down. Exhale, hands to horizon, trying to feel what wakes up in the deep core, and inhale down. The next time the hands start to float up, you can go further, but try to take that level of effort so you're really gentle as you extend the spine. If you want to, at the top, the arms can open and shoulder blades can melt down, and almost imagine there's like a seed sprouting in the heart when you do this. And then release the hands back to the block, tuck the back toes under, lift the back knee, and reach the front knee forward just for a moment. Tap the back knee down and lift it a couple of times, just letting the legs strengthen. And the next time the back leg lifts, shift the weight into the right hand, reach the left hand forward, and gently circle up and back. And just like we did rolling on our side, only let the rib cage go as far as it can without the pelvis moving. So don't worry about how far you twist. Thanks. And then go back the way you came. Drop the back knee and allow the left leg to glide all the way back to that starting position. And from here, make sure the back toes are tucked under. With an exhale, unweight the right knee. I'm keeping my right toes down. That's how I'm feeling today, but you can always let the leg lift a little bit more. And just take a breath in plank. And then set the right knee down and go right back into that hip glide. And let's try to pulse between those two shapes. So you're going into that gentle plank where the right knee just lifts. And then as the knee touches down, there's a sense of a little bit of weight shift that should make it a little easier to glide the left leg forward. So just try to play with that. What I really love about doing those two movements together is I start to feel how what's happening in the right leg and the right hip relates to my ability to feel supported in the left hip, to allow the left hip to open and glide. And the next time the foot starts to glide forward, step it outside of the blocks and just naturally come all the way up. In the second round, we don't even have to stop at the horizon. Yeah, you don't want to, just go for it. And then pause in that space of contentment. You can close the eyes, let the focus drop into the heart center. If it feels natural, you can allow yourself to smile. And then two options. Watch me for a second. Option one is to just go back into the leg lifts. Option two is as you go forward, shift your weight and lift the back knee and just play with that transition a couple of times. And then set the knee down, and everyone went for that version. So we'll do a nice hip massage now. I like blocks higher here, but you can choose. Walk the left foot wide to the left and allow the hips to make some circles. And then glide the left knee underneath the hip. Lower your blocks and take a moment in Bhaktasana. If this is too much on the shoulders, just allow the hands to come to the earth. Perhaps pressing into one hand at a time to gently sway from side to side. And then we can pulse back up to table. And before we do the other side, we'll mimic the happiest people in the world. We'll be like little toddlers and we'll crawl around a little bit. So from tabletop, hands on the earth and not on the blocks, glide the left knee forward. And as the left knee glides forward, allow the right hand to just start to reach. And then other side, so it's the movement's generated by the back knee gliding forward, but then the opposite hand naturally follows. And just start to crawl around your space. We've done a lot to wake up the hips and shoulders and the connection between the two, the deep core. And so as you move around, just notice any sense of stability, but this stability and motion that is so useful and functional. Notice where the gaze is. For me, my gaze is down. I feel like I've never looked at the floor so much. Enjoy having a new perspective, even if it's like, oh, I have to vacuum my room. Just be curious about this vantage. And then we can make our way back towards the blocks. We're going to be doing the same thing. I like twisting towards you, so I'm going to walk my blocks over to the other side, but I just want you to still be able to see me however is easiest for you. So if you're on the computer, you can do what I'm doing. If you're in person, do whatever gives you the best view. And hands on the blocks, neutral pelvis and spine. And we'll start by unweighting the right knee and gliding the right foot back. And doing a few of those, trying not to move anything in the body. It's almost like, shh, don't tell the body the leg is moving. And then next time the leg reaches back and you've got that deep core support, you can let the right foot lift and pause, breathe into the back space. Then we'll start to bend the right knee, letting the hip open off to the side, gliding the shin forward just a little bit, and then reach it back out. And then take your time playing with that. The more support I can feel in the left hip and the left obliques, the better this goes for my hip. I have sensitive hips. I need the help. The next time the foot glides forward, step the foot outside of the blocks. Gently level the pelvis. We'll just go to the horizon for the first round. And inhale, arms down. Exhale, slow motion, horizon. Do this a couple times on your own. Again, exploring that relationship between pelvis and rib cage. And when you feel the brightness in the deep core, see if you can feel an even more important brightness in the heart. The next time the hands float up, go all the way up, letting the heart open. Just rest in that space. And then we'll gently release the hands down. Whatever height blocks you would like to do. I'm going to go medium. Shift the weight into, oh, not just yet. Lift the back knee, lengthen the back leg, and take some knee taps here. And try to feel how the feet can work together. If you can keep equal weight in both feet as you do this, you might feel how the deep core and the pelvic floor unite both legs. They can work as a team. And then lower the knee, shift the weight into the left hand, reach forward with the right, and be really humble with your twist. Go back the way you came. Left leg glides straight back, and the right knee hovers in a nice, easy plank. Oh, I said wrong. It's left knee hovering and right leg straight back. But hopefully you ignored me because you know better. Left knee down, right into the leg glide, trying to be as gentle as possible, and we'll pulse between those two shapes, and hopefully putting them together starts to help that hip glide a little more easily. Prioritize level pelvis and rib cage, and don't worry about how far the knee goes. Less really is more. And then allow that foot to step outside the blocks. Take that momentum all the way up and try to find that moment of suspension where you just land with the heart open. Equal weight in the back knee and the front foot, level pelvis, and then the spine effortlessly extends. Little smile maybe, little twinkle with the fingers. And then release the hands down to the blocks. Tuck the back toes, and this time as we lift the back knee, we can reach the hands back and then set the knee down and do this a couple of times. And for me, the shifting of the weight into the front leg makes this effortless. So the more you can tip forward and get your center of gravity forward, the lighter that back knee is. Can do one more and hold there just for a moment, reaching the heel back, crown of the head forward, neutral pelvis and spine. And then release the hands to the blocks, release the back knee, walk the right foot nice and wide. Find your block height and then start to melt the hips, drawing some circles. Anchor that front big toe to keep the support in the ankle and the knee and the hip. And circle the other direction. And then glide the right foot back, lower the blocks to the lowest height. Take one last plank, and then release the left knee down, bring the right knee in to meet it, press the hips back to the heels. Option to take hands off the blocks. My shoulders are preferring that option. Just take a few breaths into the heart. And we'll float into table for one more round of crawling. Option to tuck toes and hover knees as you crawl to make it a little more challenging. But remember, our theme today is contentment, so harder is not better. Enjoying whatever you're doing is the best. So it's up to you. And we'll just take a few breaths to explore our support in our legs, in our arms, in our hips, and our shoulders. And hopefully the sense of unity based on everything that you've cultivated, not just physically. Make your way back to your mat. Nice. Oh, I should have had you be an animal. I'm sorry. I think we've all done enough crawling, but next time, if I don't say it, just be your favorite animal. Noises are okay. Let's meet seated on our heels and interlace your fingers. Bring your elbows together and start to circle the wrists around each other. This lets the front and the back of the wrist open and the sides of the wrist. So imagine you're just exploring opening the wrist from every different angle. Might be kind of hard to see and then circle the other way, and it might feel a little hard for your brain. That's okay, it's good. And then give yourself a hug and let the fingertips find a place where they can rest. It might be on the back of the arm bone. It might be all the way on the shoulder blades. And then let the arms get heavy. I'm going to turn to the side. Allow the shoulders to start to open so the back of the heart has a lot of space. And just like we did in this position, try to let the bottom of the spine round more than, not like this, but letting the round come from down here and maintaining the natural curve in the upper spine and neck. And then breathe into the back of the heart. Imagine the shoulder blades like curtains opening on a window, and that window of the heart just having space and brightness. You You can hit pause on your music. Sit the hips off to one side. Extend the legs forward. From Dandasana, bring the hands out to the sides and start to rotate the arms open. I never teach Matsyasana, but we just did this in the level 1 training, so I'm like, I'm gonna do fish pose. This is for you. As the arms rotate open, notice how the shoulders feel, and hopefully there's a sense of something really nice happening in the pecs, not like intense, just like like a little release. And feel whatever's enjoyable about this position, just this gentle heart opening. And as we have the option to lower the elbows, I just want to make sure you can keep this sense where it feels really good. Sometimes when we come down here, people's shoulders feel not great. So start to lower to the elbows. Hands can point outward. That can help the shoulders feel more open, or they can point forward. It's up to you. And just take a moment to notice whether you rather be up here again, and that's okay. And then from wherever you are, you can traction the arms back. And as the arms traction that way, the upper spine can extend. Try to keep the head supported, so that means not just dropping it back. If that feels too intense on the neck, tucking the chin will make it a little easier, but you'll still get stronger through the neck. Take a couple of breaths here. Press forward through the balls of the feet, noticing how the whole body can work together to allow the heart to open. And then release the fingers. Allow the elbows to slide wide so you melt onto your back. And I find doing that after Matsyasana, because it's so hard, at least for me, in the neck, just feels like So let's take 3 audible exhales, and sometimes Zoom cuts out the exhale noise, so if you can't hear me, just know I was doing like a big loud exhale. And so inhale through your nose, and then take a gentle exhale through the mouth, and feel the whole body release. And if that felt good, you can take a couple more. And as we prepare for Shavasana, give yourself the space to do whatever you need to be comfortable. Socks, sweaters, rolled up blankets, eye pillows, whatever makes this the most enjoyable experience for you. You can use your strap as a little eye cover if you don't feel like going to get something. You can do whatever feels comfortable with the arms. I'm feeling like placing one hand on my belly and one hand on my heart, not for the duration of Shavasana, but just for the beginning. And so you're welcome to try that. Can feel almost like a gentle hug, that little serotonin boost we get when we hold someone's hand. We can do it for ourselves. Start to be with the gentle rise and fall of the breath. And allow the breath to get subtler as you relax. And let the focus drop deeper and deeper into the heart. And notice any sense of wholeness or contentment, peace, whatever you are experiencing. And see if you can drop into that space and let it become more and more real, more and more at the forefront of your experience with each breath. And we'll rest here for the next 10 minutes. Start to notice your breath. And notice the fresh quality of each breath. Unique, new, drawing you into the present. And let that freshness travel through the whole body, consciously bringing awareness down the length of the arms to the fingers and all the way down the legs to the toes. There is this magical quality of Shavasana where we're able to step beyond the veil and harmonize with our inner selves, get closer to that natural state. And so notice, after an hour of becoming present, if you feel more content in your skin, more complete in your life. And just take a few breaths to bask in that. And continue basking as you allow the physical body to wake up with gentle movements, letting the thumb brush the pads of the fingertips, wiggling toes, doing anything that allows you to inhabit your body in a peaceful way. And take your time and enjoy the process. And eventually start making your way up to seated, but take any stops along the way, anything the body is craving or just would feel great. You can meet with hands at heart center. And a little plug for the Rise training. We can feel how the heart really is the anchor and center point for our arms through which we interact with the world. So take a moment to feel that reality of this inner depth. And then the arms as being your way of sharing that and expressing that with the people around you. Thank you so much for practicing. Namaste. For those of you that can stay, we'll do a heart meditation. Please grab any comfortable cushions or chairs or blankets for your knees. If you have an altar in your space, you're more than welcome to face your altar or any beautiful deity Something I love about the way we practice yoga is how well it prepares us for meditation. And so just notice as you find your meditation seat, which is quite a challenging posture for the legs and the hips and the back. Notice any readiness in the physical body, but also notice the readiness of your mind from being present, from being captivated by inner sensations for the past hour. Notice if it feels easier to be present in your meditation seat. Notice if it's easier to feel your breath. And maybe it's even easier to feel your heart space. And just let the attention gently melt into the center of the heart. Even though our focus becomes single-pointed, Babaji talks about how the heart chakra is more expansive than the whole universe. So as you drop into this single point at the center of the chest, and let the breath mix with that point, imagine it like a doorway that you can walk through into the most vast experience possible. When I work with my heart, I like to use the mantra Om Namah Shivaya. It guides us to have that direct experience of the inner self. And so I invite you to attach that mantra or whatever lineage mantra you use with each breath. And let the mantra represent the vastness. Let it be the key to unlocking that door. Because it's okay if you can't feel your heart. It's okay if you don't feel as vast as the universe. But what you can control is how much trust you put in the mantra. How much longing you have for an experience. And try to feel that longing inspire you to hold on to the mantra, almost like holding on for dear life. And let the mantra take you to this experience that we can't get to on our own. We need the help of the lineage. Swami Rudrananda says it's each of our birthrights to be deliriously happy. And the yogic tradition tells us this is our natural state of being. And anything different from that is just an illusion. It's just a trick of the mind keeping us at the surface. And just notice how your breath and your commitment to the mantra and your excitement to feel that deliriously happy state can help you get past those huge weights and obstacles that we face and carry. It's not to diminish the challenges of your life, but rather to feel your true nature and how much vaster and more real it is than those fleeting things, however enormous they feel. And so as you continue with the practice, notice any sense of unweighting, of letting those burdens float off of your shoulders. Notice the very real potential of being perfectly content, or maybe even deliriously happy right now. It's real, and it's in there, and we just have to insist on finding it. And we need to use the mantra as the means. There's 5 minutes left. You're welcome to do the gratitude practice or the tension release. You're also welcome to relax into your practice. If you've been working to find that space, let yourself just rest in the spaciousness you've already found. Kind of like that experience of after fish pose, working to open the heart and support the whole body, and then just that melting. Let yourself melt. And you can keep your focus at the heart. You can keep doing the practice, but almost just let it happen without your control or effort. Just observe. The momentum is already there. In our last minute, can imagine like dropping an anchor into the depths of the heart and feeling that tether, and then start to play with just barely cracking the eyes open but staying tethered in the heart. And then eventually allowing the eyes to gently gaze and eventually open. And feel how you can be aware of what's around you while still being anchored in the heart space. Thank you so much for such a sweet practice. I really needed that, and I couldn't have done it without you. So thanks so much. Have a great week. See you soon.